Deep in the jungles of northern Cambodia lies the world's largest religious monument. Built between the 9th and 15th centuries, the complex sprawls over 400 acres of land. Today we know it as Angkor Wat, but back then it was called the City of Temples. It was so large that at its peak it needed its own water supply. So the Khmer engineers constructed an elaborate system of canals and reservoirs to feed the city. Over 70 miles away, they built another city called Jayapataka, a true metropolis of the time. Between these two cities lay a network of roads that were used for trade. It was the heart of the Khmer Empire, then just as quickly as it rose, it fell into decline. The once great empire disappeared without a trace. With almost no written records left behind, historians are still baffled as to why such a powerful nation would vanish from the face of the earth. Hi, it's me, and welcome to this channel. Join me today as we travel back in time and explore 6 of history's forgotten empires you never learned about. The Kingdom of Aksum was one of the largest states in the ancient world. At its peak, it stretched across present-day Ethiopia and Eritrea. But to get there, we have to go back to the start. Like many empires, it began as a small city-state. In the 1st century AD, it became a hub of trade along the lucrative incense route, exporting myrrh and ivory in exchange for gold and Roman luxuries. But unlike neighboring Egypt, it didn't rely on the Nile River for life. Instead, its wealth came from the sea. Its navy controlled the Red Sea, shipping goods as far away as India and the Persian Gulf. As their wealth grew, so did their influence. By the 4th century, it had become a Christian kingdom, making it the first nation in the world to adopt the new religion. The king at the time, Azana, converted after witnessing the execution of Christians by the Romans. He returned home and immediately began a campaign of religious reform. Pagans and Jews were given the choice to convert or be exiled. Over the next few decades, the kingdom grew exponentially, expanding across the Ethiopian highlands and into Nubia. It lasted for centuries, leaving behind many architectural and historical treasures, including towering obelisks known as stelae. These resemble the Egyptian pyramids, but are far more mysterious. Archaeologists have uncovered over 100 stelae scattered across the landscape, each monolith standing up to 33 feet tall. They're decorated with ancient Ge'ez script and many date back to the 4th century, yet nobody knows what they mean. Some scholars believe the inscriptions may hold secrets to the lost Queen of Sheba. Others claim they're merely tombstones of ancient Aksumite nobles. Regardless, they remain one of the most defining symbols of the empire. Then suddenly, like the Akkadians before them, they disappeared. There are some clues left behind, a series of famines, earthquakes, and invasions from neighboring kingdoms. But none can explain how one of the richest states in the ancient world could have collapsed so rapidly. In the Late Bronze Age, the Hittites were one of the most formidable military powers in the Near East. Their iron chariots thundered across Anatolia, crushing all who stood in their way. At their peak, they ruled over much of modern Turkey, Syria, and northern Iraq. For 5 centuries, they dominated international trade, exporting iron weapons as far away as Egypt and China. The two nations actually became rivals when Ramses II famously defeated the Hittite army at the Battle of Kadesh. But contrary to popular belief, it wasn't a decisive victory. In fact, the Hittites continued to expand across the Levant. It was during this time that they established a capital city named Hattusa. Here they constructed massive walls made of mud brick and filled it with imposing temples to their storm god, Teshub. Yet despite their military prowess, they vanished from the historical record without a trace. Some believe their demise is linked to the mysterious collapse of the Bronze Age. As the Mycenaeans pillaged across the eastern Mediterranean, they disrupted the flow of goods and resources. Without the raw materials to craft weapons, the Hittite army became obsolete and the empire quickly fell apart. If you've ever studied classical literature, then you've probably heard of the Mycenaean Civilization. This legendary culture gave birth to some of the most famous heroes in Greek mythology, men like Achilles, Odysseus, and Agamemnon. But as with all myths, separating fact from fiction can be difficult. What we do know is that the Mycenaeans were masters of war and strategy. Their armies spread across mainland Greece, as well as the Aegean Islands and the coast of Asia Minor. However, they're most famous for a single catastrophic event, the Trojan War, The story goes that after 10 years of fighting, the Mycenaean king, Agamemnon, was assassinated by his wife's lover, Aegisthus. Soon after, he led his army to Troy and razed the city to the ground. Sadly, almost nothing remains of the once great nation. Most of what we know comes from the Linear B script, an early form of Greek writing. The tablets reveal that the Mycenaeans kept meticulous records of their royal palaces. One such palace was the citadel of Mycenae. It was here that the legendary king Agamemnon lived. Today, only a few dilapidated walls stand in its place, along with the Lion Gate, a monumental entrance adorned with a pair of marble lions. Another palace belonged to the king's brother, Menelaus. It was located near the ancient city of Sparta. Though much of it has been destroyed, archaeologists were able to reconstruct its layout. They discovered 13 rooms surrounding a central courtyard. The palace also boasted a sophisticated plumbing system with toilets and bathtubs made of stone. Unfortunately, the exact cause of their downfall is unknown. Some believe the population simply migrated to the north after their palaces were sacked. Others think a series of earthquakes caused widespread destruction and famine, which led to the end of the Mycenaean era. After the fall of the Western Empire, the Americas descended into chaos. By the 15th century, the Inca had conquered the Andes, but long before that, another civilization flourished in the mountains of Bolivia. Between 400 and 1000 AD, the Tiwanaku people constructed an impressive collection of sites. Their most famous structure is Pumapunku, a megalithic complex with perfectly cut stones. The site consists of temples, palaces, and a series of ceremonial buildings. Sadly, almost nothing is known about the culture itself. The ruins bear little resemblance to later Andean cultures like the Inca. It was only after painstakingly excavating the site that researchers realized it predated Pachacati, the founder of the Inca Empire. But how did they manage to build such an incredible monument? Unlike the Inca, they lacked a wheel to transport materials and a central government to organize labor. Even more mysterious is how they managed to cut such intricate designs into solid rock. Many of the stones weigh several tons, yet the workers shaped them with such precision that you can barely fit a razor blade between the seams. Though mysteriously beautiful, the empire quickly fell apart. Sometime around 800 AD, the population was decimated by a series of droughts. This, combined with a devastating earthquake, led to the abandonment of Tiwanaku and the subsequent rise of the Inca. Now, look, I could keep talking about fascinating lost civilizations for hours, but instead, let me show you a montage of other empires you probably never learned about. The Kingdom of Kush, located in modern-day Sudan, was one of the longest-lasting civilizations in the ancient world. Over 2,000 years ago, the Kushite king seized control of Egypt and ruled over both countries. But after decades of civil war, the kingdom collapsed. The Kingdom of Macedon was founded by a local chieftain named Philip II. After defeating the Persians, his son Alexander the Great inherited the throne. He went on to conquer the known world from Greece to India. When he died, his empire was divided among his generals, which led to the Hellenistic period. The Kingdom of Dvaraka, according to Hindu texts, was ruled by Lord Krishna. It was situated along the western coast of India and was said to be the largest city in the world. Unfortunately, excavations have failed to uncover any evidence of its existence. The Khmer Empire lasted for over 800 years, spreading across parts of Thailand and Laos. They built countless temples and citadels, but ultimately lost out to the growing Thai kingdoms. The Kingdom of Aksum, located in present-day Yemen, was a hub of international trade. Their control of the Red Sea routes made them incredibly wealthy. However, their society was brought to an abrupt end when invading armies ransacked their cities. The Kingdom of Benin, located in present-day Nigeria, was famed for its bronze sculptures and skilled craftsmanship. But after centuries of prosperity, it was destroyed by the British Empire. I could keep going on about other forgotten empires, but you get the point. History is full of intriguing stories that we never learn about. Now, don't get me wrong, the Romans and Greeks are fascinating subjects, but there's a lot more to the ancient world than Athens and Rome. So next time you pick up a history book, try reading about one of these forgotten empires. I guarantee you'll learn something new. Thanks for watching. Which empire fascinated you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and remember, the past still lives on.